Trust is the foundation of every meaningful connection in our lives, whether it's in relationships, friendships, or partnerships. Yet, trust isn't something we hand out freely. It's not a gift, it's a privilege that people earn through consistent actions. Today, I want to talk about the types of people who may seem trustworthy on the surface, but whose patterns, behaviors, or values often tell a different story. By recognizing these types of people, you protect your time, energy, and heart. Trust is one of the most valuable currencies we exchange in relationships, but it's not something that should be given lightly. It is built over time through actions, consistency, and shared experiences. Far too often, we are tempted to assume trust, especially when someone appears confident, charming, or shares common ground with us. However, assuming trust without evidence can lead us into situations where we are left vulnerable and hurt. Trust is an investment. It's like planting a seed in a garden. It requires nurturing, attention, and patience to grow. You wouldn't expect a seed to bloom overnight, and you wouldn't expect a thriving garden without effort. Similarly, trust can't be rushed or expected to appear fully formed just because someone says, "You can trust me." True trust is built incrementally through small, consistent actions that demonstrate reliability, honesty, and integrity. When someone's actions consistently align with their words, a foundation of trust begins to take shape. The challenge is that we often conflate likability with trustworthiness. Someone might seem approachable, friendly, or charismatic, and our instincts may nudge us to trust them immediately. But charisma and trust are not the same. A person's charm might draw us in, but it's their behavior over time that determines whether they are worthy of our trust. Trustworthy individuals don't just speak about their values, they live them. They follow through on commitments, admit mistakes when they fall short, and show up consistently, not just when it's convenient for them. In contrast, when trust is assumed rather than earned, it can lead to disappointment and disillusionment. Imagine opening your heart to someone who hasn't proven they are capable of handling it with care. The pain of broken trust often stems not just from the betrayal itself, but from the realization that we let someone in too quickly, bypassing the essential process of truly knowing their character. Trust is also deeply reciprocal. It's not a one-way street. While you are gauging someone's reliability and consistency, they are often doing the same with you. This mutual investment strengthens the bond between people, creating a relationship where both feel safe, valued, and understood. When trust is earned on both sides, it forms a resilient connection that can withstand challenges. Another essential aspect of earned trust is accountability. Trustworthy people aren't perfect, they make mistakes. What sets them apart is their willingness to own those mistakes, make amends, and learn from them. Trust is not about never falling short, it's about how someone shows up when they do. Trust isn't something you hand out like candy at Halloween. It's a gift, one of the most precious things you can offer to another person. Protect it, nurture it, and make sure that the people you entrust with it have demonstrated through their actions, time, and consistency that they deserve it. Trust earned is trust that lasts. Apologies can be powerful. They have the ability to mend relationships, heal wounds, and show humility. However, an apology is only as meaningful as the actions that follow it. Words, while important, are easy to say. They can be polished, rehearsed, or even manipulative. Patterns of behavior, on the other hand, are harder to disguise. They reveal the true essence of a person over time, often more clearly than any heartfelt statement ever could. When someone wrongs us and offers an apology, it's natural to want to believe them. We may feel reassured by their words or moved by their sincerity in the moment. But the real test of their commitment to change isn't found in the apology itself. It's in whether their actions align with their promises moving forward. A single mistake is human. and a heartfelt apology can be a step toward rebuilding trust. However, if the same mistakes or harmful behaviors persist, it becomes clear that the apology was just words, not a commitment to change. Patterns have a way of cutting through the noise. They show us who someone really is, even when their words try to tell us otherwise. For example, consider someone who repeatedly promises to respect your boundaries but continues to cross them. They may apologize each time, but the repeated behavior signals that they lack the respect or self-awareness needed to change. Their pattern of disregard speaks louder than their apologies ever could. The same applies in professional relationships. A colleague might consistently miss deadlines, blame others, or fail to take responsibility for their actions. Even if they apologize profusely each time, the recurring pattern reveals a lack of accountability. Trust in such cases isn't eroded by a single instance of failure, but by the repeated inability or unwillingness to correct the behavior. It's important to recognize that patterns are not just about identifying negative behaviors. They are also a measure of someone's reliability, integrity, and growth. For instance, someone who consistently shows up for you, keeps their promises, and works to improve after making a mistake demonstrates a positive pattern. These actions reinforce trust and deepen connections, even when occasional missteps occur. Recognizing patterns requires us to step back and look at the bigger picture. It can be tempting to focus on isolated incidents, especially when emotions are high. But true understanding comes from observing behavior over time. This doesn't mean we should dismiss apologies or write someone off after one mistake. Instead, it means holding space for both accountability and evidence of growth. It's about expecting more than just words and giving people the opportunity to show through their actions that they value our trust and are willing to earn it. The saying, actions speak louder than words, holds deep truth. Patterns reflect priorities. They show where someone's values truly lie, regardless of what they say. Trust your observations and let those patterns guide your decisions about who deserves your trust and who doesn't. Apologies may open the door, but consistent behavior is what keeps it open. Charisma is captivating. It draws us in, lights up a room, and makes us feel an immediate connection to someone who seems confident, engaging, and magnetic. While charisma can be a valuable quality, it's not a guarantee of trustworthiness. In fact, it can sometimes serve as a mask, a tool people use to disguise their true intentions or shortcomings. Understanding the difference between genuine charisma and the kind that hides red flags is critical to protecting yourself from misplaced trust. When we encounter a charismatic person, it's easy to get swept up in their charm. They know how to make you feel special, valued, and understood. They may use humor, flattery, or compelling storytelling to forge an instant bond. On the surface, this feels amazing. Who doesn't want to be around someone who makes them feel good? However, it's important to take a step back and ask, are they using this charm to build a meaningful connection? Or is it merely a tool to influence or manipulate? Charisma, when paired with integrity, is a powerful force for good. People with genuine charisma use their charm to uplift others, foster trust, and inspire collaboration. They align their words and actions, and their intentions are transparent. You can feel safe with these individuals because their charisma is rooted in authenticity. However, when charisma is used as a mask, it often conceals self-serving motives. This kind of charm can be manipulative, designed to distract you from inconsistencies, broken promises, or a lack of genuine substance. One of the dangers of charismatic individuals is that they can create a false sense of trust. Their ability to connect on a superficial level may lead you to overlook warning signs such as a lack of follow-through or patterns of dishonesty. They may be skilled at deflecting accountability, using their charm to redirect attention or diminish the seriousness of their actions. In these situations, their charisma becomes a shield, protecting them from scrutiny and allowing them to maintain a facade of trustworthiness. Another risk is that charisma can make us question our instincts. If someone charismatic behaves in a way that feels off or inconsistent, we might be tempted to give them the benefit of the doubt simply because they're likable. We might rationalize their behavior or convince ourselves that we're overreacting. However, ignoring those gut feelings in favor of their outward charm can leave us vulnerable to manipulation or betrayal. The key to navigating charisma is discernment. Pay attention to actions, not just words. Does this person's behavior align with their charm? Are they consistent, honest, and reliable over time? Do they own their mistakes and take steps to make things right? Genuine trust requires more than likability, it requires integrity. Charisma can open the door to connection, but it's what lies beneath the surface that matters most. While charisma is attractive, it should never be the sole foundation of trust. Look beyond the mask, observe patterns, and trust your instincts. True trustworthiness is built on substance, not showmanship. Vulnerability is one of the most powerful tools for building connection. It allows us to open up, share our authentic selves, and create deeper, more meaningful relationships. However, vulnerability without boundaries can lead to pain, manipulation, and mistrust. True connection requires a delicate balance, being open enough to let others see us, but discerning enough to protect ourselves from those who might misuse our trust. When we share our vulnerabilities, we offer a piece of ourselves to another person. It's an act of courage, signaling that we trust them with our fears, insecurities, or dreams. This kind of openness has the potential to deepen bonds and foster mutual understanding. However, not everyone is equipped to handle our vulnerability with care. Some people might dismiss, exploit, or take advantage of what we've shared. Without healthy boundaries in place, vulnerability can leave us exposed to harm. Boundaries are essential because they define what we are willing to share with whom and under what circumstances. They act as a filter, allowing us to engage meaningfully while safeguarding our emotional well-being. Setting boundaries doesn't mean shutting people out or being guarded. It means understanding where your limits are and communicating them clearly. Boundaries create a framework in which vulnerability can thrive safely. One of the key challenges with vulnerability is knowing when, how, and with whom to be vulnerable. Not everyone has earned the right to hear your story. Trust is built incrementally, and it's important to ensure that the person you're opening up to has demonstrated reliability, empathy, and respect over time. Sharing too much, too soon with someone who hasn't proven themselves can lead to disappointment or betrayal. On the other hand, being overly guarded can prevent us from forming genuine connections. It's about finding that middle ground, allowing yourself to be seen while protecting your emotional boundaries. Boundaries are not just about saying no to others, they are also about saying yes to yourself. They allow you to maintain your sense of self-worth, even when you're being vulnerable. For instance, if someone repeatedly dismisses your feelings or invalidates your experiences, a healthy boundary might involve stepping back and reassessing the level of trust you place in that relationship. Boundaries remind us that vulnerability is a gift, not something others are entitled to. Another important aspect of boundaries is that they help prevent emotional burnout. Being vulnerable requires energy, and if we're constantly opening ourselves up without receiving care or support in return, it can leave us feeling drained. Boundaries ensure that we are intentional about where we invest our emotional energy, focusing on relationships that nurture us rather than deplete us. Vulnerability and boundaries go hand in hand. Vulnerability allows us to form connections, while boundaries ensure that those connections are safe, respectful, and reciprocal. Together, they create a foundation for relationships built on trust, authenticity, and mutual care. By honoring both, we can navigate the complexities of trust with confidence and self-respect. Perfection is often seen as the ultimate goal and ideal to strive for in ourselves and others. It promises flawlessness, consistency, and control, qualities that can feel comforting in an unpredictable world. But the pursuit of perfection, especially in relationships and trust building, is a trap. Not only is perfection unattainable, but the insistence on it can mask deeper issues, hinder genuine connection, and erode trust over time. Someone who presents as perfect may seem like the ideal person to trust. They never appear to make mistakes, they always seem to have the right answer, and they project an air of control and confidence. However, perfection is often a facade. It's a carefully constructed image designed to hide insecurities, vulnerabilities, or flaws. Trusting someone who strives to appear perfect can be dangerous because they may prioritize maintaining their image over being honest or authentic. When someone is overly focused on appearing perfect, they may avoid accountability, deflect blame, or refuse to admit when they're wrong, all of which undermine trust. Perfection can also create unrealistic expectations in relationships. When we idealize someone as perfect, we put them on a pedestal that no one can realistically maintain. Eventually, cracks will show, and when they do, the illusion shatters. This can lead to disappointment and a sense of betrayal, even if the person's mistakes are entirely normal and human. By expecting perfection, we set ourselves up for inevitable disillusionment. Perfectionism in ourselves can also be a barrier to trust. When we strive to be perfect, we might avoid showing vulnerability out of fear of judgment or rejection. This can make us appear distant, unapproachable, or insincere. Genuine trust is built on authenticity, not flawlessness. When we hide our imperfections, we deny others the opportunity to see us as we truly are and to connect with us on a deeper level. The truth is, mistakes and imperfections are essential for growth, connection, and trust. They provide opportunities to demonstrate accountability, resilience, and a commitment to improvement. For example, someone who admits their mistakes, apologizes sincerely, and takes steps to make things right is far more trustworthy than someone who insists they've done nothing wrong or shifts blame onto others. It's not the absence of mistakes, but the way we handle them that defines our character. Embracing imperfection also allows for deeper empathy and understanding. When we acknowledge our own flaws, we become more accepting of others. This mutual acceptance creates a space where trust can flourish, free from the unrealistic pressures of perfection. The trap of perfection is that it focuses on appearances rather than substance. Trustworthy people are not those who never falter, but those who show up honestly, admit their flaws, and strive to grow. Letting go of the need for perfection, both in ourselves and in others, allows us to build relationships based on authenticity, accountability, and mutual respect. Trust thrives not in the illusion of perfection, but in the beauty of imperfection. When building trust and meaningful relationships, it's easy to get caught up in shared interests. Common hobbies, similar career paths, or mutual enjoyment of certain activities can create an instant connection, making us feel like we found someone who truly understands us. While shared interests can bring people together, they are not the foundation of lasting trust. Shared values, the deeper principles and beliefs that guide how we live our lives, are what truly determine the strength and sustainability of a relationship. Interests are often surface level and can change over time. You might bond with someone over a love of hiking, music, or a favorite TV show. But these shared interests don't necessarily reflect who either of you is at your core. Values, on the other hand, are rooted in our sense of morality, purpose, and priorities. They guide our decisions, shape our character, and influence how we treat others. Relationships built on shared values go beyond temporary enjoyment. They create a sense of alignment and mutual understanding that can weather the ups and downs of life. Consider the difference between spending time with someone who shares your interests versus someone who shares your AUs. The former might result in enjoyable conversations or fun outings, But if your values clash, those moments can quickly become overshadowed by conflict or discomfort. For example, imagine someone who shares your passion for a specific sport but has fundamentally different values around honesty, respect, or accountability. Over time, their actions may erode your trust regardless of your common interests. Shared values, however, provide a stable foundation for trust. When two people prioritize honesty, kindness, and respect, their interactions are more likely to be grounded in mutual care and understanding. This doesn't mean you'll always agree, but it does mean that you'll approach disagreements with a shared commitment to resolve them in a way that honors your core principles. Values like integrity, empathy, and accountability ensure that both parties are invested in maintaining trust and connection, even when challenges arise. Building relationships based on shared values also helps you navigate difficult situations with clarity. When someone's actions align with your values, you're more likely to feel supported and understood. For example, if loyalty is a core value for you, and you see someone consistently standing by their commitments and supporting their loved ones, it reinforces your trust in them. Conversely, if someone betrays those values, it's a clear sign that the relationship might not be as strong as it seemed, regardless of shared interests. Prioritizing shared values over shared interests doesn't mean that interests aren't important. They are a wonderful way to connect and add joy to relationships. However, they should complement, not replace, the deeper connection formed by aligned values. By focusing on shared values, you build relationships that are not only enjoyable, but also resilient, authentic, and rooted in trust. In the end, it's not what you enjoy together, but what you believe in together that creates a truly meaningful bond. Intuition is one of the most powerful tools we possess. It's a deep, often subconscious sense of knowing that alerts us to things that may not yet be visible on the surface. While logic and evidence are valuable in decision making, there are moments when your intuition speaks louder than any fact or figure. It's the feeling in your gut that tells you something is off, even when everything seems fine on the outside. Trusting this inner voice can be a critical factor in navigating relationships and deciding who truly deserves your trust. Intuition isn't magic. It's rooted in experience, observation, and subconscious processing. Over time, your mind collects countless subtle cues, body language, tone of voice, inconsistencies in behavior, and stores them away. Even if you can't consciously pinpoint what feels wrong, your intuition often picks up on patterns or red flags that your conscious mind hasn't yet connected. It's as though your brain is saying, pay attention. Something here doesn't align. One of the challenges with intuition is that it can be easy to ignore, especially when the external evidence doesn't immediately support it. If someone is charming, well-spoken, or seems to be doing all the right things, you might dismiss that small voice inside you that's telling you to be cautious. However, ignoring your intuition often leads to regret later. How many times have you looked back on a situation and said, I knew something wasn't right, but I ignored it? Listening to your intuition doesn't mean jumping to conclusions or acting impulsively. It means giving yourself permission to explore that inner feeling further. If something feels off, take the time to observe more closely. Are there inconsistencies in the person's actions versus their words? Do they exhibit patterns of behavior that contradict their promises or stated intentions? Intuition invites you to investigate, not to judge prematurely. It's also important to distinguish between intuition and fear. Fear often stems from past experiences or insecurities, while intuition is more neutral and grounded. Fear might say, this will go wrong because it always does, whereas intuition says, pay attention, this doesn't add up. Cultivating self-awareness helps you differentiate between the two. By reflecting on your emotions and past patterns, you can sharpen your ability to recognize when your intuition is offering genuine insight. Trusting your intuition also requires self-confidence. It's tempting to seek external validation or second guess yourself, especially if others downplay your concerns. But your inner voice is uniquely yours. It knows your experiences, values, and priorities better than anyone else. While it's fine to seek advice or gather information, don't dismiss your feelings simply because they don't align with others' opinions. Often your intuition is protecting you in ways that logic or external reassurance cannot. Your intuition is a guide, a trusted ally in your journey to discern who deserves your trust and who does not. By listening to that inner voice, you empower yourself to make choices that align with your well-being and values. Trust your instincts. They often know the truth long before your mind does.